So let's talk real quick why it is critically important that we protect our life savings as we near retirement. We've worked for a very long time. Most of us either have a 401k, an individual retirement account, something that's likely tax deferred that we've been putting money in for many, many years, and now we're getting close to retirement. So let's understand why it's so important. And we kind of know this, but I'm going to give you some illustrations to show you exactly why and what we need to do to protect that income, because the last thing we want to do is live longer than our money. We absolutely want our money to live longer than us. So it would be devastating if we reach age 80, 85, 90, and all of a sudden there's not enough money to pay the bills. It's not like we could go back to work. So we need to make absolutely sure that our money stays with us the rest of our life. So when we look at our investment history and how things have functioned, generally the U.S. economy is absolutely fantastic. It's been extremely resilient, certainly through our lifetime and even long before that. But when we take it as an overall picture, it's easy to see that, yes, we want to be in the market investing even aggressively, because during dips and dives and things that happen, it's going to come back. It has always come back. So we're much higher now than we've ever been. We're going to be much higher now in the future, likely, than we've ever been. It's just things that happen along the way. So anybody in their 20s and 30s and 40s right now, you're absolutely out of your mind if you are not investing in the market. This is what is going to create your wealth when you retire. You cannot count on Social Security. It will likely be there, but even when it's there, it's not enough to manage your day-to-day expenses. It's there to help. So we need to supplement that, and that's what our nest egg is for. And the last thing we want to do is have our nest egg go backwards. So let's just take a quick peek on exactly what I'm talking about. So when we look at this chart, this shows some of the biggest declines and pre our lifetime, during our lifetime, but you can see here back in 1929, everybody has heard about the Great Depression. That's exactly what that was. So that's when really everything went in the gutter. And somehow or another, we came out of it. So we came back from the Great Depression. I'm not exactly sure how you go from soup kitchens and living on the street and all that to building back the economy and going forward. But in the United States, we've done that, and we continue to do that. And you can see from 1929, for a very long period of time, things have been pretty good. There certainly have been some slight downtimes and ups and downs and sideways and all that kind of stuff, but nothing of a drastic measure until we run into 1987. And if you were around in 1987, I was young, I kind of remember it, but Black Monday, where stockbrokers were jumping out their windows. And, if you look back on how much the market went down, it didn't go down by like 500 points or 600 points. It wasn't, in today's standard, from a percentage standpoint, it was pretty significant. But that was a very difficult period of time. But guess what? We came back from it. And then we had 1999 to 2000. And that was part of the dot-com bubble. We certainly remember the dot-com bubble, where everything was coming out with dot-com. The stock markets were just going crazy. Anything that was associated with technology, people were IPOing and prices were going through the roof. Everybody's dumping all their money in, and then all of a sudden, poof, it just kind of goes away. The ones that were really worth it stayed, but many just disappeared overnight. A lot of companies that never made a nickel, that were valued in the millions and hundreds of millions, and then just overnight, no more of that. So that's another significant time in the stock market. And guess what? We managed to survive again. So we managed to get back out of the hole, back to even, and then even start to go forward again. And then comes 2008. 2008 was the financial crisis. And certainly a lot of us remember that. A lot of people lost their houses. It was really a mortgage-backed type disaster where they were just lending money to anybody that walked in an office and wanted a big loan for a house, 5 houses, whatever it may be. They would certainly just subprime loan them money, and it caught up. And then all of a sudden, one day, bam, it just hits. And then everything just crumbles right there. And that seemed like it could have been the end of a lot of stuff, because we lost a lot of banks, lost a lot of financial institutions, a lot of pillars of the economy. But once again, we came back. We dug out of that hole somehow or another, and continued to go forward. And then we have 2020. Here comes coronavirus. And all of a sudden, the world shuts down with coronavirus, which was crazy as crazy could be, where all of a sudden, there was nothing going on outside of your house. You had to stay in your house, and it certainly hit the financial markets pretty significantly. And obviously, there wasn't a lot of economics going on. There was some government help that got through certain things. There might have been a little too much government help, which leads to inflation a little bit later. But again, we've pulled out of it. But what's important to understand with all this stuff, take a look at this next chart and just gives you kind of a better idea from a number standpoint on these type things. So you can see the biggest one was that financial disaster, where 57% loss in markets at that time. So what we're talking about here is when we're getting ready to retire. So you can see we can manage through these things over a period of time, but if you were getting ready to retire within 1 year, 2 years, 3 years of any of these events, it would be crushing to your retirement nest egg if you are continued to be in the regular type investment scenario. So you can see on this side, gives a little bit better of a visual on how this is. So just picture when you're going to retire. If you happen to be getting ready to retire anywhere around here where you have a lost decade, it took that long to come back from those severe losses. Obviously a long time ago, but still it's a point in time that we need to be aware of. If we look at the other ones, even up here in coronavirus, it doesn't last that long, but you just don't know how long it's going to last. And then even up here at the top, much more current on a downturn, where if we are about to step into retirement, or if we're already into retirement, we've got stuff in the market in risk associated investments, and they don't have to be super risky, but just typical mutual funds and things like that. It can be devastating, and we can go backwards with our nest egg. So that's what we don't want to do. That is where an annuity can play a big part in your retirement, because with a fixed indexed annuity, and these annuities are much different than they were just 10 years ago. Now they are a very attractive investment approaching retirement or in retirement, where number one, they cannot go backwards. Your floor is zero. If any one of these dips were to happen, you would get zero interest. You would not get negative. You would not lose any of your balance in that fixed income annuity. And then number two, it participates in the growth. So it gives you the ability to still continue to grow, but not have the risk of loss. And that's exactly what it is that I want to have with my retirement. I would expect you would want to have with your retirement. Just comfortable, sleep at night, be able to handle anything that's coming, because we know we've got what we've got, and nobody's going to take that from us. So that's exactly where we want to be. So I'm happy to help you with any of this. This is exactly what I do. Help people with Medicare. I help people with fixed index annuities to protect their nest eggs. And I do everything for you. So if it's something that is going to work, and I won't tell you that until we talk about it, but if we talk about it and we decide it's going to work, then I take care of it for you. Just need a couple of signatures. I make sure everything gets rolled over the way it's supposed to. If you have qualified money that's tax deferred in a 401k or an IRA, we want to make sure that it goes from custodial to custodial, so that we don't mess with any of the tax deferred. So everything stays exactly the way it is, but puts it in a protected vehicle that can still grow. Pretty simple, pretty easy. And again, I just think that's the right way to go with our retirement. We'll keep some of it liquid, so if we have emergencies, but even with a fixed index annuity, you've still got portions of it that are somewhat liquid. So if an emergency comes along, it's not locked away forever. So there's a lot of good things, a lot of things different than they used to be, where people used to think you don't use it, you lose it, all that kind of stuff. Just not the case anymore. It's a very good vehicle. Happy to help with any of it. Subscribe to my channel. I'll put out a lot more information. Have a fantastic day. If you're considering adding an annuity to your retirement plan to guarantee monthly income for the rest of your life, I'd be happy to help. Annuities are purchased through life insurance companies, so you can't do it direct. You have to use somebody like me to help, and I'm happy to do that. And I have the software that allows me to pretty much see everything that's available. And I'm licensed in all 50 states, so I can help just about anyone create guaranteed monthly income. You can see right here on the software, it's very easy to navigate and to change options so that we can find what works best for us. Here we have a 5-year deferred annuity, which brings the monthly income at year 5. Now we don't have to wait 5 years. We can choose whenever we want, but we can see very easily what would happen if we do. If we move it to 10 years, you can see it changes the income significantly, but you can set it up as a 10-year deferral and then choose to turn on the income at any time. Just visit my website, rolloverup.com. You can book a call with me. We can discuss it to see if it makes sense for you, and we can take it from there. Hope you have a fantastic day.